Hey, what up, guys? We're all live. We're all here. As we got Soonie backstage, we also have our guests. We're trying to get them on. We have some technical difficulties that we're working through. So we'll go ahead and share this out and get that out there. Oh my God, noises. Noises.
Hey.
Wow.
There's going to be more noises because I'm back.
Well, we're not worrying about you. No one cares about Kevin.
Everybody cares. Everybody loves Kevin. It's a sequel to Everybody Loves Raymond. Except now, Deborah is transgender. It's great.
Wait till you guys see Soonie, by the way. Wait till you see what Soonie has on today's show. It's something you never would think Soonie would wear.
I do have to say, Soonie is probably in a very weird mental state today, and so we will all have to be sensitive of her feelings.
Yes.
Aww.
She's very sensitive today.
When did I join a left? You guys are so sweet.
She's definitely she's telling us how much she loves us right now. So
yeah,
it's so great. Can
Soonie,
you see that?
I'm on your side in all this. Okay, can you at least subtract half of it? Hey, your finger's broken. Your finger's broken.
All right, guys, we'll share this out, get it out there. We're gonna run the countdown and we're gonna get going.
What's up, guys?
Howdy, howdy.
You're back. Howdy, howdy. All right. So today, actually, first of all, welcome to Truth Will Set You Free. #BeTheChange. Please do not forget that we mentioned this last week. We are going to be doing away with live streaming on the Truth Will Set You Free YouTube page. It's going to only be on #BeTheChange. So if you're only subscribed to Truth Will Set You Free, make sure you subscribe to #BeTheChange. Otherwise, you're going to miss out when we go live because we won't be going live over there. Okay. Make sure that you subscribe to all of us on social media. We don't even have to read it off for you because it's all down below in the description box. So super easy breezy. Everybody's got merch. Everybody's got Instagram sites, Facebook, all that jazz. So make sure to follow all of us. Today, we have a really special show. We're going to be talking about some great topics. We've got Joe Biden falling off a bike. If you haven't seen that one yet, you're gonna hear some really interesting opinions on that moment. But I think we're gonna start off the show talking about that. Then we're gonna talk about the dying cows. Okay, this has been making me lose sleep. Like I can't stop thinking about these damn cows. There's something going on, so I had to talk about it. Then we're gonna be talking about the interest rate increase. Adam Schiff letting Steven Colbert's staff into the Capitol building. How did that happen? We're going to be talking about the Fina World Swimming banning transgendered swimmers unless ... and you're going to find out what that unless is. We're going to be giving a Uvalde update, and there's like an update like that just came out today. Some screenshots of the video that are very, very interesting. So that's an evolving situation. And then we're going to talk about two white guys who attacked a young Black man or boy. Actually, I think he's a boy. I don't even think he's an adult yet. He was driving around in their neighborhood recklessly, and they took it upon themselves to approach him and throw something through his car window. And there was a whole situation there that we're going to talk about. And then if we have time, we will talk about the gun buybacks that have been going on in some cities and what our thoughts are on that. So make sure that you guys are hitting the like button as you join the live stream. Make sure that you are sharing it as well. Please also leave comments. We are going to be answering questions. If any of you guys have questions for our guest, which she's going to hopefully be joining us soon, we're going to have Bree on. If some of you guys have been on Soonie's lives, Bree has debated on Soonie's lives, and we're excited to have her. So drop your questions or comments for Bree or any one of us in the comments box. And as always, we welcome super chats. Anything else?
No.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yay.
Good job.
Good job, Mo.
I've missed you guys so much. It's been a very long 2 weeks. By the way, if any of you live in states that are kind of liberal on their gun laws, do not whatever you can do, don't let them get rid of state preemption. Like, I've been at city council meetings every night, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night for like 2 weeks now. Don't let it happen, guys. Don't let it happen.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the only thing I got for you on that one. Go
I
guns.
wish I could say the same, that I missed you, Kevin. I wish I could.
Amen. Can we just get like a clap hands emoji for like the shortest sentence Kevin has ever said ever?
It was a stutter, and it sounded like Joe Biden.
Just, God gave me gifts, and I like to show them off. Half of them aren't allowed on this screen, so I work with the half I got left.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
how are we doing? Is
Join
Soonie
with
coming
my
back?
OnlyFans if you want to see the
Looks
other
like
half.
she's looking down at her phone, so I think she's still walking Bree through it. But just as a reminder, what was just mentioned about the Truth Will Set You Free channel on YouTube, we still got 9 viewers watching over there. I just posted a link in the comments that's going to link you over to the Be the Change YouTube page, which most of you should already know where it sits. But just in case, click that link, switch over there. We're going to turn this page off somewhere in this conversation tonight, just to get everybody comfortable switching over, and we're going to do the same again next week. So make sure you get over onto that page. It looks like it's growing and watch it in viewers. Again, it's at 10. So switch over to the other one. What up, Al? We see you there. You're always on the right page. But should we jump into a topic since we're waiting? Is there one we can run with? Let's see.
I kind of feel like I don't want to talk about the first one because I really need Soonie to be here.
We have to have Soonie for the first one.
Let's talk about the cows, man.
Let's talk about the cows.
Like,
why do we have to talk about Kevin so much? But okay.
Yo, moo, mother. Hey, Mo thought I was gonna slip there. She did.
Yeah.
She really did.
Hey, you got to 7 minutes, so that's a good goal.
I want to talk about this cows thing because it's like one of the single greatest examples of hysteria I've seen in a very long time. Unnecessary hysteria. 2,000 cows died, right?
How interesting. 2,000 mules, 2,000 cows. I just thought about that.
No, that's fair. How many cows does this ranch have?
I think it's like thousands, if not a million. I don't know. I mean,
It's
10,000.
250,000 heads of cattle, and they lost 2,000. They lost less than, like, right around 0.5% through a terrible heat wave. Mind you, there's got to be something else going on because cows exist in Texas, which is always hotter than Kansas.
Right.
Here's another one. We've seen a bunch of fires in factories, in food factories, right? Processing plants. How many fires a year are there in industrial fires, industrial settings in America?
I don't know, but I'm sure you do.
Yeah, 37,000 per year, right? Mm-hmm. The food processing centers we're focusing on now regularly see 10 to 15 a year. It's very common, especially when you're talking about places where fried food is made. When you're talking about industrial level production of fried chicken, for example, the chicken tenders you get in your freezer, nuggets, they're cooked in massive vats of grease, massive vats of oil, right? Like, these things catch fire. I am like, my biggest thing is that this talking about these things, it's like, yeah, it's bad. These things are catching on fire. Has anyone actually looked into the commonality of this? Does this happen regularly? What occurs when this happens? Right? Like, I want to talk about the cows because this is great, wonderful, amazing propaganda. It's a great example of it.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, okay? The cows, to me, wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't happening during these times, okay? There's just too much effery for me going on to now add 2,000 cows, which, mind you, I heard are $2,000 a head, which means they lost $4 million in cows. That's a lot of money, okay? That is a lot of money. And I don't know what these ranchers make or whatever, how they're rolling. But I don't know anybody who's just like blase about $4 million in lost cattle. Okay, if it were my cattle, and it was a heat wave, listen, I'd be out there licking those cattle. I'd be peeing on those anything to keep them cool and not lose $4 million. Okay, like something just isn't right about it to me. It just isn't right. And like it's that coupled with, you know, the fires that may happen, you know, every year or whatever the fact may be. And then there's all these ranchers coming out saying, no, we're ranchers and this happens all the time. But then I see other ranchers saying, no, this isn't common. And I've had at least over 75 of them in my inbox telling me that. So I'm hearing it from both sides. And I'm just wondering, okay, so the ranchers that are convincing us that this is normal, is their farmland owned by Bill Gates? Is somebody getting paid off? I don't know. It just seems suspect to me. What do you think?
So I have a question about all of these fires that Kevin's speaking about, because it doesn't seem to be very fitting. And the reason why I say that is, if you look at it, some of these facilities, I listed 97 of them in the last 17 months in a Facebook post. 97 of them. And some of them are the world's largest distributors of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And to say that they messed up and they burnt down their facility, it was an accident.
Yeah.
97 of them, and they are some of the largest ones in the world.
Yeah.
How?
I mean,
and that's not a coincidence?
Grease fires are very common. That's why kitchen fires are the #1 cause of fires in the world. Like,
but are we sure that all of them do kitchen and they don't just chop up birds and send out raw meat to be able to go to processing in a kitchen?
Look, we got to assume that the people that are masterminding these plans are at least smart enough to have spent an hour studying the French Revolution or a lot of the revolutions. We're 3 meals away from a revolution at any given time. These people are very well aware if their method of eliminating the population they don't like is through starving them, you don't last long. North Korea is like the only place that's been able to do that for an extended period of time. You don't last long at all starving your people. You last a long time by giving them vaccinations. You can shrink it by encouraging abortion. You can encourage it massively. You can encourage it massively by convincing them to take sterilizing drugs. That's a very easy way to get the people to peaceably shrink the population size. You don't get the population size to willfully shrink by destroying their supply of food, because they will have nothing to rule over if they try to starve the world. They're not trying to starve the world. They happen pretty regularly at food processing facilities. Again, you're cooking in gigantic grease vats.
We're not saying we're going to starve the world. What is a weird coincidence that's a super hyped up thing that is at every restaurant and in every grocery store now is to make meat via a petri dish instead of actually using real animal products that we've been using for centuries.
Yeah.
Well,
so you can't tell me that it's not, there couldn't be an agenda here, like you're trying to say and implying. There could be an agenda here to move people to eating more of this Beyond Meat or the Impossible Meat instead of actual animal product.
I mean, the problem they're always going to run into is that the animals just still exist. Like, it'll be
There's
pretty
such
cool.
thing as
The meat prices don't have to go very high before butchers are buying venison from every single hunter for about $15 on the pound.
They still exist, but I mean, like, if you look at communist countries, those people don't get access to meat. And it's not that cows don't exist, it's that only the wealthy get to buy the meat. You go and get your allotment of food every week, and it's very little meat, and the meat that you get is expired or close to expiring. It's not good quality meat. I mean, anybody who has lived in a communist country will tell you that. They live on rice and beans and, bread.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, and then how long do you think the people that are currently in charge of America will remain in charge if that's what America is living on?
What do you mean?
I'm not sure I follow what you're asking.
Like how long do you think Americans will be willing to live like that before?
Well, they won't have a choice. They're already working on taking away their weapons.
You don't think people in the military in America, you know, there are things that separate America from the rest of the world, and one of them happens to be our shared values, our shared history, and the kind of mythos it's built upon. The military in America will not allow the American people to starve to that extent.
But Kevin, how the communist countries were able to do what they do is they took away weapons from people, so people had no way to defend themselves, so they couldn't do anything. And the military was the government, and the military follows the orders of the government, and that's that.
Find me Yeah, well, I'm just saying, find me the communist country that is as well armed when this occurred as we are currently, even as poorly armed as we are now. There is none. Like the Armenian genocide, the year before the Young Turks a year or two. It was a year before that they disarmed, and then they started to slaughter. They got rid of all the guns first. We still have ours. The Holocaust, it was a year before. China, it was 1935, and then 35 years later, they decided to kill him. In Soviet Union, it was 1929, and then the starving started shortly after that. It's like, obviously, they're going to disarm. That's why I've been speaking at city council meetings. That's why I am fighting so desperately right now for people to understand just how important this Second Amendment is. Because you can say, like I'm trying to right now, the reason why I can say this, and this is what I've been trying to set up, the reason why I can talk the way I do is because the American people are armed currently. I will not be able to say this if we let our guns go.
But you know what else scares me? And this is kind of getting away from the topic of the cows, which I do want to move back towards. But it scares me that they are also making our men weaker, right? And I'm not talking about your age. I'm talking about my son's age. I'm talking about people younger than my son, right? They are slowly working on making our men weaker. And when the men of society get weak, the society has nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't disagree. So a weak society doesn't matter how weak it gets. If you head over to My Patriot Supply right now, you can make sure that you have at least something when it crumbles. Mo, you were talking about My Patriot Supply earlier.
Hit it. Friends, the daily news headlines prove one thing. What were we just talking about? These cows laying face up, okay? Patas para arriba, como like how we say it in my culture. Patas para arriba. Anyways, the world is a fragile place. That means it's time to prepare for instability. Let me ask you, do you have enough emergency food on hand? Do you have enough frozen beef on hand? If not, go to your local ranchers and get some. And if you're not by a local rancher, don't worry about it because we got you covered here. We recommend My Patriot Supply, America's largest emergency preparedness company. Act quickly and save $150 on their vital 3-month emergency food kit, which contains a wide variety of delicious meals designed to give you over 2,000 calories per day. You get breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks for 3 solid months per person. And it's something that every American family wishes they would have when the shit hits the fan. I think we're past 3 minutes, so I can say shit. These kits are in stock and ship fast. Your order will arrive quickly in an unmarked box for your privacy. So go to preparewithbtc.com and save $150 on each 3-month food kit you need. Do it now, buy it now, and prepare with BTC. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. No, and absolutely be prepared. Always, for every scenario, all day, every day. Make sure that you're ready for anything that is thrown at us. Yeah. But no, Rhonda, you're not coming to my house. But the
Rhonda the lesbian, she wants to come to your house?
No, she says because she's probably seen a bunch of the pictures that I posted from all the freeze drying stuff I've been doing.
Okay.
But the big thing that I have a problem with this topic, Kevin, is when it comes to these facilities and all of that's going on. It's a little weird coincidence that right now we have a crisis in order in our economy, that everything is through the roof. And we have all of these things that are taking down these large suppliers. And then we have 2,000 head of cattle that just die from heat. When the heat that in Kansas, it was a little abnormally high, 4 to 8 degrees is what I read. And there was a little bit more humidity than normal, but nothing that they have not gone through before.
Yeah.
So for 2,000 head of cattle to die like that is pretty weird. Very weird. And you add that together with everything, with all the poultry farms and everything else that has been going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird sequence of events. Nothing makes sense.
No, and I it's not that I don't understand the skepticism. It's not that I totally would, like, that's the reason why I know what I know now, is because I was really, really, really worried about it. I was like actually legitimately starting to get concerned, like, what kind of collapse, what level of collapse are we looking at right now? Because we're about to see the fall, I believe. We're either about to see, or we're pretty freaking close to seeing the fall of fiat currency, government fiat currency. And that's going to have just an absolutely destructive effect on the world. But the way it has a destructive effect varies. A government, I believe, there is a way through the why I support what I do with capitalism. You can actually separate government from business and create a legitimate, the ultimate way the government can prevent everything from absolutely going south is by just going free market economy. If you remove the government's talents from the economy, the government's destruction necessarily can't have a devastating effect unless there's an actual military conflict going on. But that's me being way out there, right? But the more free market the worse the economy gets, the more free market the government will have to go to solve it. Because I promise I'll wrap this up really quick, because I'm like, this is just coming into my head. So you're getting fresh thoughts here. The more the government, the worse it gets right now, because it's going to be the fall of the current government's economic system. The more libertarian they will be forced to go, which means the more free market. You can only put the government in the market when the market's strong. So
no,
and the thing is, the people in charge know that capitalism works, and that's all I'm going to say.
Agree with that. But the government doesn't have to come in when the market's strong. The government usually steps in when the market's weak, because they step in and say, I'm the savior. Come to me. I will help you. Mm-hmm. That's what they did with prescription drugs. That's what they did with the COVID vaccine. That's what they did with all of those things, right? And so the government always tries to be the savior, to get everybody to be running to them and look at them as government dependent. And that's where I do disagree with that statement, that the government only gets involved when the market's strong. I don't see that. I don't know when the government has stepped in when it's strong.
No. I mean, the government can only come in when the market is set up well. The Great Depression happened. It was a natural occurrence in the market that would have rectified itself pretty quickly had not the government stepped in. But that kind of fall occurs in a market. It's what is the market's ability to rebound from the falls? Like, nothing will ever be 100% good. There is necessarily going to be bad times in all of it. So which one? This is why, like, my girlfriend, I picked her because she handles me when I'm being a dumbass better than anybody else, right?
I don't know. We do a pretty damn good job here.
You guys do, but it's the best system is the one that can recover from the bottom better than the rest. Communism hits the bottom and millions of people are dying. Capitalism hits the bottom. Well, it's going to come back really quick because people want shit. People want shit. Capitalism will always work. People want shit. Bam. I'm done for a little bit. I'm sorry, guys.
Thank God.
Right? Hey, Soonie, are you ready? I pinged you in the private chat just to see if you were ready.
I had to explore that one. I had I got this little mild.
You totally hijacked my cow. Listen, you hijacked my cow topic, and I really don't appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
I really just wanted to talk about the pettiness of the cow conversation. And yes, Soonie's going to come back. You guys, unfortunately, Bree had technical difficulties, and she's not going to be able to join us. So we're gonna have to have her back another time. Yeah, it happens.
happens.
But I'll say one last thing on the cows. Okay, be weary of anything, because just like Kevin said, this has happened before, right? Okay, so why is it such a big deal now? Why is the media talking about it now? Because they want us to get in an uproar about it. They want us to think a certain thing. This is why. This is, if anything, this is a great example why we have to question everything we see in the news and not always take it at face value. Because who knows? I could be totally wrong about the cows, or I could be totally right. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Like, yeah. I am usually pretty off. I'm just kidding.
Soonie!
Right. Yeah, are we gonna bring her if she's ready? FYI, guys, I'm gonna end the page at the Truth Will Set You Free YouTube page, so that's gonna end right now. So if you're on that, you got the link in the comments. You can switch. So we are ending that page from being live. So switch over to the link that is in the comments as of right now.
Okay. I better see those numbers. And while you're coming in over to be the change, make sure you hit the like button.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Hit that up. Hit that like button. All right.
Carly says both of her kids are sleeping, so let's get to it. All right.
Yeah.
Carly, did Kevin put your kids to sleep with that long-winded?
Yeah, right. Kevin just won't shut up.
Oh, man.
For the other topics, like we really want Soonie for these other topics. Are you ready, Soonie? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, we can talk about Kamala Harris charging $5,000 for a picture with her.
You guys, Soonie is being held captive in Okinawa, Japan. She is coming to you from her captive seat. Soonie, lean forward so people can see what's on your face there.
I can't see it.
It says, like you're lighting, okay?
Oh, okay, there it is.
Joe Biden.
I'm with you there, Soonie.
Free Joe Biden. What is he, locked up somewhere?
Can anybody guess why Soonie has that on her face? Can anybody take a guess why Soonie is saying free Joe Biden? Soonie of all people. Drop a comment if you know. Nobody? What kind of delay here?
It says free Joe Biden. Al, free Joe Biden.
They're on a little bit of a delay, in fairness.
Yeah, there's like.
This is a great test of how long that delay is.
it's like 11 or 13 seconds. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's different. It's actually different on every device because I've listened to it on like multiple devices at the same time and they're all jacked up.
You would think they could solve it, but then you're like, oh, wait a second. That's a lot of data transfer stuff.
Look at that. He can't ride a bike. Elder abuse.
Elder abuse. Okay. Impeached. Okay.
Oh. Yeah. So okay.
Abuse.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's start off with a little video first, because I feel like
start off with a video.
We need a visual.
We need a visual. Okay.
Soonie,
we'll go ahead and
look away.
Pull up the visual. I'll do it.
Look away, Soonie, so you don't cry.
Here we go.
Woo!
Hey, Joe!
Hey now!
Oh man! He looks so disoriented.
He just picks up where he left off, just to have a conversation with people.
He looks
what
so
do you do?
lost. I'm sorry. Like, okay. One, if you guys don't think that was funny, or drop a 2 if you agree with Soonie. I thought it was hilarious. Soonie, maybe she'll take the tape off her mouth and explain to us why she did not find this funny. She's not going to talk at all.
No, that's the freaking president of the United States. Like I don't like that's how the rest of the world sees our country. At all times, whether you like it or not, at all times, the president of the United States is a direct reflection of us. A direct reflection. And what is going on in our country.
Exactly.
All fucking times.
Okay.
And the fact that people are celebrating it, like this is a win for conservatives, that this is the human being we have running our fucking country, that we have at the highest level of office. Like I say, like absolutely never hero worship politicians at any time. But at the end of the fucking day, The president of the United States is an office that deserves someone demanding of our respect.
Sure.
So here's my thoughts on it.
We failed to put a person in that position, and this is on us. And we are laughing at our fucking selves right now, and it is driving me insane. I think this is something we're celebrating.
You ain't laughing at me because I didn't cast a vote for this Joker. You ain't laughing at me. No, you're not. And listen here, okay? I'm going to laugh at that because number one, his wife should be ashamed of herself for allowing her husband to get on a bike at almost 80 years old and think that that was a good idea to click his little feet into the bike pedal so he's stuck, okay? The guy can hardly walk across the stage. The guy can hardly form a sentence. And you're telling me as his wife, she's not going to step in and say, hold on just a minute. This is my husband. Forget about the fact that he runs the country. We need to let the world know he is not well, okay? His security detail, his entire team, they failed him. We're not failing him by laughing at him. We're trying to let them know we think he is a joke every single time he comes out to talk or ride a bike or walk up the plane stairs or whatever it is. It is a sad situation. You think that us laughing is news to the world, that this guy's a complete loser? Give me a break.
So let me ask, did you laugh when he fell up the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had a chuckle because I was like, oops, he fell. And then I was like, man.
How is that different from this?
If I was the president, I was walking up the stairs.
All right, everybody shut up. Want to know?
I knew she could hold back.
You're not allowed to disrespect the president. Right? I'm a military spouse. No, I'm being serious. Because sometimes it's funny, ha, 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 but other times it's not. I'm not going to join in being a part of the country and celebrate the demise of America. If Biden fails, we all fail. It won't be so funny then.
And we're suffering. Failing, and so are we. Exactly.
We're suffering. We shouldn't be celebrating it. I don't find it funny. I don't think him getting his foot stuck in a pedal is something to like plaster all over the internet and celebrate. And that is exactly what conservatives are doing. You got David Harris sharing it 20 different ways, showing Trump throw a fucking hat. Like, bro, grow the fuck up.
Here's
you
why
have these people who won't talk about drag queens. They won't talk about the fags. Sorry, I'm going to say it. They won't talk about all this destruction actually coming to America, but you'll highlight your platform to complain about Joe or laugh about Joe falling off of a bike.
I understand what you're saying, Soonie. I get that. But here's the problem. We are in a severe divide right now, right? And there is so many things that are going on. And honestly, like I told you in the team chat, I find it funny because if I fell on a bike like that, I would be laughing my ass off too, because it's just a stupid mistake. He gets up and walks it off like he should, and he just starts moving on. But it is still funny when people make human mistakes. Now, here's why it's such a big deal. Is you had during the Trump presidency, you had the left side media blasting Trump for similar stuff
of the president, where you see him walking very haltingly, one leg at a time. It starts happening here.
People were laughing at this.
And this is after he gave a commencement speech.
That doesn't make it right that the other side did it. At what point are you better than the people you're opposing?
So if they are doing it and we're just chuckling at someone falling off a bike, they're literally talking about Donald Trump's cognitive ability in walking.
And we call them out for that.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Like when we're starting to talk about things, yes, we have that. But when in this scenario of Joe Biden falling off a bike, it's not like we're really celebrating it. We laugh at it. It's funny. Like we all give each other, we rib each other, and we make jokes at each other, just like I did with Kevin backstage. How is this any different?
At what point have you said, "But man, that really that really sucks. Poor Joe. He fell in front of everybody." At what point is part of your own personal individual reaction been, "Man"?
Listen, I have said more than enough times on all my social media platforms, and I don't sit there and play this video on my social media over and over and over again. I have said many times, I feel really, really bad for him that his family is allowing him to be out there doing this. I have said that. Now, the fact that he fell, I laughed at my daughter today, and she fell and almost broke her ankle in the sauna, and I laughed at her. So give me a break that I can't laugh at Joe Biden.
You talk about him like he's not able to think for himself. At what point did he? At what point? No, as demented as you might think this man is, he is not so. Okay, like he's a little bit slower than he once was.
Wait,
but he is not. He is not full blown, completely mind gone. Joe Biden.
I think.
Wait a minute. Are you the new
different.
Anthony Russo?
No. So like no, because
I think this is different for everyone.
Give me 10 seconds.
Sure.
At what point does he get to say for himself, I'm the president of the United States, I can ride a fucking bike?
He can't.
He can.
Yeah.
He was riding it until he stopped.
But
he was not.
But
we don't
listen
know.
to me.
That's the hard
Thank you
part.
for giving me 10 seconds, Soonie. I appreciate you.
As the president of the United States, the people that are around him, it's their job to make sure that he stays the president of the United States. Because God forbid we have James Brown body double, or what's her name, Kamala Harris, coming in to take his place. God forbid if something happens to him. I don't even like the guy, okay? But I don't like her 10 times more than I don't like him. And I definitely don't want her in charge. Okay. So the people that are around him should be caring enough about our commander in chief to not look like an idiot. They should have him be doing strong things like sitting down and maybe putting together a puzzle, showing that he's cognitively able to put together a puzzle or something.
Then why were you laughing at all?
Because it was funny.
I did not watch this once and laugh because the first time I saw it, I said, holy shit. What are we what if he is not able to do this, he shouldn't be there. But the fact of the matter is we can try, like, I have seen so many conservatives posting this, and they're going to try to make similar. I'm not saying this is you, because I haven't seen it on your page. But the amount of conservatives I'm seeing that are, as soon as it's pointed out to them how fucking bad it is that they're sitting there celebrating, they're like, well, I wasn't all the way. No, because then you wouldn't have shared it at all. You wouldn't have been promoting it at all. You wouldn't have been laughing and celebrating and posting the memes at all. Like, no,
I was all the way laughing about it. All the way.
It's I'm sorry, but like we are very divided. And this shit like this is not going to do anything to stop a violent civil war.
I don't know. All I know is people got up in arms about CNN making fun of how Trump was walking, how he drank water. Conservatives didn't think it was funny. And if you say you did, you're lying. I've been around the scene for a long time. We didn't talk about Trump laughing about him drinking. We made fun of how ridiculous liberal media was being. And I'm going to keep the same energy and point out how ridiculous you all look at laughing at this guy falling. It's a president. You don't have to respect the person, but you absolutely need to respect the position. I'm not going to join in on other countries making fun of a place where, number one, my husband is serving this country. There's a difference for me and the rest of the population. That's cool. People want to laugh. I don't think it's funny. And I don't participate in laughing at Joe when things go on like this. You didn't see me share him tripping up the stairs. I didn't post that anywhere.
I don't know.
I'm not going to participate. I think it's immature and I think it's very hypocritical.
I don't remember what people posted or who posted what on what. But at the end of the day, all of us make fun of one group or another, whether it's the president, whether it's another human being, whether it's whoever. I have laughed at Trump and all the stupid stuff that he does. I have laughed at President Biden and all the stupid stuff he does. It just so happens that President Biden says and does stupid shit every day. Every day. Like, if it was just a one-time thing and the guy just tripped, yeah, that sucks. But it's constantly. Trust me, the other countries don't need us to give them the pass to laugh at him. They're laughing already.
It's flipped. If it was just a one-time thing, you would laugh because it would be out of character and it would be a situation where it was like, this wasn't expected. And so you laughed. Because we're angry because it's gotten so bad at this point. It's not it's not a joke anymore. Like, I laughed a little bit. Like, I laughed quite often at his stuff at the beginning, but it gets to a point where it's like, no, like, this is seriously fucked up. This man is our president. And this is like, I am an anarchist. I hate the state. But there is such thing as the president of the United States. And if I love this country and its people and its values and its ethics and morals as much as I do, there will always be someone who is representing our country. And I want it to be someone deserving of that respect. And we as America have failed to ensure that happens. We as America, this divide is our fault. All of us.
The key word is deserving. And I'm sorry. Listen, respect, you have to earn that. Okay. We gave it to him, and I was the first one to make a video to say, okay, I don't like it that he's president, but he's president. And now we have to just hope that he's going to do right by our nation. And you know what? He has it. And do you think he blinks an eye and loses any sleep at night when there's parents that can't feed their kids, when there's people that can't put gas in their gas tank? You think he loses sleep? So hell no. I'm going to laugh the whole damn day about him falling off his bike.
He is not. He is many things. He is not evil. Sorry.
Do you guys feel the same way when someone says "fuck Joe Biden"?
Yes, I called conservatives out for doing that. If you didn't like them saying "fuck Trump" and all the disrespectful shit they were saying, then why are you saying "fuck Biden"?
Okay. Russo, not Russo, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I laugh at the FJB thing because there was my point for where I thought it got sad was a little bit further on. There is a point where it's funny because it's just woo, this is America's politics, but then the effects of it really sit in and you start to realize, okay, this is bad. And our reaction to this is not okay. I took a little bit longer to realize it than I would have liked. I should not have been, right? But I love the "Let's Go Brandon" because that was a fuck you to the media and the corporate empire and the establishment.
It was clearly saying "F Joe Biden."
Yes,
right?
So it was pointing fun at the
F Joe Biden
that tried to hide it.
Joe Biden was more F the Democratic establishment than anything else because it was they put him here, right? And so you're saying F the establishment, and then "Let's Go Brandon" was extra F the establishment. But at a point, that was Joe Biden, the president of the United States, falling. That wasn't the puppet. That wasn't anything else. That was just a dude. You can disagree that he should be on vacation. It was just a man on vacation with his family. And when he falls down, the entire world laughs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different situation.
He falls down all the time, whether it's on a bike or not.
Why does the entire world laugh?
Because he's an idiot.
Because he's president of...
And he's the idiot of the United States. He is making us the laughing stock of the world. You're worried about him getting laughed at on the bike? The whole world is laughing at us because we put this man in power.
The world has been laughing at us, not because of Joe, because of our ridiculous representatives that we've had here forever. It didn't start with Joe, and it won't end with Joe. America's a shit show all on its own.
It's
a shit show. Biden is not telling local states to have drag queens at school. That's not his doing. That's the school district's doing.
Yeah.
Biden is not telling
the people that work
to
for him
celebrate LGBTQ. We were doing that under Trump.
The people that work around Joe Biden. Trump. I know that, but the people that work under Joe Biden are saying it's a great idea to have trannies in school.
So were the people under Trump. What's the difference?
And I'm not saying that. We're talking about Joe Biden. I'm not saying that Trump didn't do it either. I'm talking about Joe Biden and why I laughed at him falling off that bike. Period.
Look, if the rest of the world is laughing at him, not with him, there's a difference between the two, right, Soonie?
We're past
laughing
that.
at and laughing with. The point is,
I just don't find it funny. I don't celebrating the demise of America.
Yeah, the thing is you have to ask yourself, why is the rest of the world laughing? It's not like we have a very strong president who's awesome, but he's so awesome that when he falls on the bike, it's funny and he can get up and he can laugh it off. And it's oh, that was clearly just, a mistake. Everything else is great. No, this is holy shit, guys. Look at how bad America's gotten. Look at how the mighty have fallen. This is the people you've been the big shit on campus and someone walked up and punched you in the face kind of laughing at you. This isn't the big man on campus tripped and fell up the stairs, but then he's going to go out and score 50 points in the next basketball kind of laughing at you.
But you know what the problem is? And this is where I go back to the respect. And I was talking about this before we went live. Yeah. There's no consequences with this administration. They just do whatever they want to do, and there's no consequences. I told you guys before we went live about the Saudi prince, right? That journalist wrote an article about him, making him look bad. You know what he did? He chopped him into a million pieces and put him in a bucket. So that's the thing. Like we have it way too easy here. Now I'm not saying our commander in chief needs to chop anybody up in pieces, but for God's sake, can we get somebody in office that is cognitive? Like if this isn't enough for his wife and his team to say, hey guys, we can't keep this charade going on anymore. We can't get this charade going on anymore. We have to do something.
Yeah.
That's what they should be pushing people to do. They shouldn't want the world laughing at the commander in chief, no matter who it is.
Yeah. Kaecey.
All right.
I'm still gonna laugh. I know it's gonna hurt some people's feelings, but I'm still gonna laugh. And the reason why I'm still gonna laugh is because it's the same as what I would do if my friend did that with his bike. It's just
Did you laugh at Trump?
Yeah, but so you love your.
Yeah, I laugh at
Trump
Trump all the time, Soonie. I said a
hold
lot
on.
of things about Trump that
That's
you
fine,
wrote
but did you
criticized
laugh at
me.
him
when you
drinking
first
water?
on the show.
Because that was just so funny. Did you laugh at him?
I laughed at him
walking
for a lot of
forward?
things. I don't really recall the drinking water thing, but I could have laughed if I
Can
thought
we
it
show
was
the
funny.
video? Because I don't remember the drinking water thing. Can we show?
No,
I don't have it pulled up.
No.
I was just asking.
Yeah, if I thought it was funny, I would have laughed at it.
But here's the thing: is like. Sorry, Soonie. I apologize.
No, I think we should move on to the next topic. We're not going to agree here.
No,
I
we're not.
gave my reasoning for wearing this. I don't think it's funny. If people want to laugh, laugh. But if you get pushback, you get pushback. Just like I'm probably going to get pushback with people thinking I'm sensitive. It's not about sensitivity. It's about being outside of America and looking at other countries and how they view us and how we look weak as shit. And we look weaker with our own citizens acting a plumb fool. Same way we looked ridiculous when our own citizens were acting a plumb fool under Trump. It's no different. It's just the guy that you don't like in office. That's the only difference.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next topic we're going to talk about?
What was it? Yeah.
Whatever's in order.
I don't think. Do you
Yeah,
really want to talk about interest rate increase right now, or you want to talk about Adam Schiff?
Let's talk about needle dick. I mean,
Run with it, Kevin.
Go ahead. Give
You
us.
can
give
laugh
us
at
the,
him.
Give us the
No.
Reader's Digest version
no.
of what happened.
I'm not. No. I want to talk about this. I didn't see it till earlier today. I saw like the corner TV in the office had like pencil neck Schiff over there, like Shifty Schiff.
What happened with Shift?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
You guys don't
I
know?
didn't hear it.
You guys really don't know that Adam Schiff's staff members let Steven Colbert's staff inside the Capitol without permission and after hours, and they were arrested for unlawful entry.
I saw that. I saw the headline. Oh my God, it's true.
It is true. And they are being treated better than anybody that was treated for January 6th.
That surprises
No one.
nobody. Okay, it's nobody.
So the big thing about this is, though, this is where it's showing, and Adam Schiff is on the January 6th committee.
Yeah, of course.
He should be removed from the committee and have to sit in front to justify the actions of his staff on why that was done, why he went around the protocols of checking people in that are coming into the building, why he also went around the protocols of them coming in after hours, because they're not supposed to go in. I believe it's 7 p.m. Eastern, but don't hold me to that. That they're not supposed to allow people into the building after that unless they have credentials.
Yeah.
And
So they were in there filming a skit, right? Is that what it was? They were filming a skit for the show?
I've read two different things. They were in there to either film the skit or to do a little an advertising piece to advertise whatever the video that they're filming. I don't know which one it is.
Espionage.
Yeah. And so the whole thing is ridiculous that we have this guy sitting on the January 6th committee, broke every rule in the book to allow people into the Capitol. They were all arrested. They are part of Stephen Colbert's team, which is already super critical of January 6th also. And this guy is trying to criticize anybody that did anything on January 6th? No. That should not be accepted.
A politician being hypocritical?
right? But because he's a freaking liberal, he gets away with it.
Yeah.
And I read one news article that they are all out on
On
they've
bail,
all
yeah.
got out of bail. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
they spent the night in jail and that was it.
Keep a list of what we're going to badger the Republican House for. But yeah, hold on. Keep going. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So they were doing interviews. You know that dog Smeagol that he always has on his show that's like a Rottweiler? And he like, you know what I'm talking about? No, not that Smeagol. It's like a little Rottweiler that like asks people questions and he has like a cigar. So they had that guy who does the voice of the dog's not name is Smeagol, the comedian's name is Smeagol, and he's the insult comic dog, so he insults people. They were filming a bit for the show where the dog goes and asks people about January 6th. That's what it was. There's pictures here of it.
Stupid.
Question becomes, because I'm sure you're all asking it internally, how do we make sure people are held accountable, right? The answer is vote. Right now, the House looks like it's going to win. We need to take back. We need
confident at all.
what?
The answer is vote. There's like no confidence behind that.
Yeah,
Very assertive.
Right.
I'm not trying to be. This is going to be the one set. So these numbers up here, yeah, this is the important part. This needs to stay the same if you want any investigation to happen.
I doubt it.
Dude,
It's not going to happen.
I
They're not gonna
don't,
be
I
You
don't
can think
have
it
this
won't.
like.
this right here is the single biggest indicator of what's about to happen in November,
What?
the direction of our country.
You
That-
can't do that, Kevin. Number one, that's like so intellectually dishonest because just because someone is red or Republican does not mean that they're going to initiate any investigation.
No,
Right.
you're correct. The second part
So
of that
this
is
red
we
shit,
have to
this
make it
big ass
happen.
number beating that little number don't mean a motherfucking thing.
No. Let me finish. That's why I said, Kaecey, keep a list. Because now our next job is to make it the point of conservative media across the board to remember the things they need to go after and stick them to it and hold them to it. Because at the very least, you can get the truth out there. And then in 2024, you can take the presidency and watch it all burn down in 26.
Mm.
But no.
Anyways, it just goes to show that the rules don't apply to the Hollywood people. They can do whatever they want in Washington. And clearly the people at the Capitol building aren't as scared as they were on January 6th. Like, what did AOC say? She thought she was going to get raped, or she had like flashbacks of the moment that she was like sexually assaulted. I wonder if she was there that day. Maybe she'd like to comment on whether she
wasn't
felt.
even there. She wasn't even in the building. She's in a
I know.
completely different building. She's dumb as shit.
I
She's
know.
why we need to repeal the 19th. God damn. God
Anyway.
damn.
Anyways.
So
All
we finally
right.
have our guest here.
Oh, we
Um,
do. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm gonna let her come up and
I'm-
do her own introduction. I don't like introducing people. Is that weird?
Yeah, I
I'm just
agree.
like, nah, you do a better job than me.
I'm glad she was able to keep trying.
Me too. I'm gonna bring her up.
I don't introduce people either. I go, tell the audience about yourself.
So, Bree, welcome to the show.
Hello,
Bree.
thank you for
Howdy,
having
howdy.
me. I'm like an hour late, sorry.
That's
You're
all right.
fine.
So do you want to tell everybody, you're just joining. So everybody, this is our guest, Bree Cruz. Bree, do you want to tell everybody about yourself?
So yeah, I'm Bree Cruz. You can find me on Instagram under that name as well. And as I explain to people, I just pretty much run my mouth about current events.
Yeah.
Now,
All right. Yeah.
now Bree,
that works.
do you have a show too that you do on YouTube? Because I've seen like some interviews, I think, with you on them.
So there's this page that I'm connected to called Interviews, and we interview people on there. So we did like Jericho Green, Megan as well. And I think Joe Collins was another one of them. I wasn't a part of that one, however, but we do a so yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we're already, 3 topics in, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just about to transition off of Adam Schiff letting the Steven Colbert show into the Capitol. Do you have any thoughts on that, or you wanna get on the next subject with us?
Yeah, we can go to the next subject. That's fine.
Okay.
I think that's a good transition to banning transgenders for women swimming.
Woo, let's go.
No.
Let's go. This is crazy.
Let's have Soonie go first this round.
Dang, why you put me on Front Street for the Decepticons?
This is your favorite topic.
This is your topic.
This is your thing.
Transform into Starscream and fire your way out of this one, Soonie.
I'm happy. I wish women would have advocated for themselves instead of letting these things into our spaces. I don't know. I'm actually upset that it takes a ban to tell grown adults that they shouldn't be having full-grown men participating in women's sports. That's a very crazy indication of where our country is, where people just don't have the good common sense that the Lord gave them, that you need someone telling you no. Like, how old are you? Y'all are older than me, and I know to say no to this stuff. So I don't really have much to say, but
Soonie, did you hear though that they said they're banning it unless you started your transition before the age of 12? Did you hear that part?
What?
Yes, that's the part I was wanting.
So they got that. See, I'm stuttering. So who did they get that from? Bruce Jenner? Because that's what he wanted to do in California. In case people didn't know that, because conservatives love to support that thing too.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, but yeah, that's the big stick point.
That sounds just like what
before
Bruce
12.
Jenner wanted.
Well, no, so it says here, Fina members widely adopted a new gender inclusion policy that permits swimmers who transition before age 12 to compete in women's events. The organization also proposed an open competition category. I don't know what that means. That is saying that people are encouraged to transition. Basically, they're encouraging you to hurry up and get your sex parts changed out if you have Olympic goals.
I'm telling you, being inclusive is satanic, bro. Everybody does not deserve a seat at the table. I'm sorry, but everybody doesn't get to hang out with me. It just don't work that way. If I don't want you around me, you're not going to be around me. If I don't like you or the way you look, we're probably not going to be friends, because I understand the importance of no meaning no.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
What do you think about it?
I think this is more just grooming our people to be able to make decisions early on when they're not capable of making those decisions. And we're trying to say, hey, kids can't be able to buy guns at the age of 18, but you can sure in hell change your gender before the age of 12. Good God.
Yeah, that's exactly. We're teaching kids to be more and more rebellious against their parents. So essentially what we have done, we don't even co-parent anymore with government. Government literally raises our children now. If you think about it, like, parents are allowing these things, and then you see it on TikTok, you see it on Instagram, where moms are just introducing little boys to wear dresses. They're coercing their little boys to wear dresses and makeup, and it's just insane. When I think about these things that are going on, I was like, my mom would have never ever allowed something like this. Like, my brother playing in makeup and just calling it normal, like, it just wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did y'all see? And this is part of it. Like, Jennifer Lopez, there was a clip of J-Lo. Somebody just mentioned it here in the comments, introducing her daughter with pronouns they or them. She had her up on stage. Her daughter now looks like a little boy. She's like a tomboy, which is fine. Okay, we all go through that stage where we have that like tomboyish thing that we all go through. I'm not saying that equals your daughter's a lesbian or transitioning or anything like that. But my question watching that was, why can't she just refer to her own daughter by her name, which is Emmy? Why did she have to use the they, them pronouns? And that's the type of thing that Bree was just saying is, we're starting to like make that type of language okay and acceptable and normal. And it's not normal for a mother to call her daughter they or them. That's ridiculous to me.
But it is Hollywood, though. And in order for you to keep your status, and in order for you to grow in what you're doing, you have to succumb to woke ideologies. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, you're going to succumb to the woke ideologies or they're going to oust you, because that's what controls Hollywood. Hollywood is woke. They're crazy and they're all about, don't be surprised when her daughter comes out as transgender. No different than Dwayne Wade. You think about all these things that are occurring and they will do anything for the sake of money. Who pushes their little boy to be a little girl? And now he is modeling as a little girl. They're making millions of dollars. The little boy's transition.
Yeah,
It's true.
It's $1.3 million per.
Bree, your audio is a little choppy. You may, because I have the same problem sometimes.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so I probably won't have the best audio.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Oh, she says, do I have static? Are you guys hearing me with static?
You're fine from my end. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with like Dwayne Wade and his son, and Corinne made a good point about it. She mentioned online and she said, you know, could it be that these kids that are born to these like stars like J-Lo and Dwayne Wade, you know, that maybe their kids kind of feel like I can't live up to them, so they like morph into this other thing, you know, to be able to get some type of attention, to be able to feel like they matter. I don't know. Somebody brought up Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's daughter, I think Shiloh. She went through a stage where she was like, she cut her hair short. She looked like a little boy. I don't think I ever heard them.
Celebrities
say
are
anything about.
celebrities are going to be the death of this. As soon as it gets cool, give it some time, and people won't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is it makes no logical sense. People are pushing back, and the average person, there's a reason why 70% of people, that's why I said the most important poll was direction of the country. 70% of the people that are being polled right now are taking everything in that's going on right now and being like, yeah, I don't like this shit. Like, the vast majority of people are not about this, and no matter what the elites try to shove down our throats, or no matter what the tyrannical minorities want to shove down our throat, at the end of the day, the average person is going to be like, "No, enough of us are going to say that it stops," and I think it's getting pretty damn close to that.
But did you guys see that video where Dwayne Wade was talking about his son's transition? And pretty much his son was coerced into that. A teacher was the one that actually introduced him.
Yeah.
I did hear something about that. Yeah, I did hear something about that. And that is crazy.
Dwayne Wade should be suing some motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, going back to this, the world, you know, the swimming ban on transgendered unless they transition before 12. What I don't understand is this particular bill that they added in here, gender inclusion policy. Sorry, I said bill, but policy. They have a category for open, which I'm assuming means that it can be men or women or transgenders against transgendered swimming against each other. Like, why can't they just do that, period? Like, why do they have to have this thing saying, hey, if your kid transitions before puberty sets in, it'll be okay, you know, we'll let them swim. Just have the trannies swim against the trannies and call it a day. Like, have a tranny Olympics.
Right?
Why do we gotta
give them their own sport?
Give them their own sport. Give them their own Olympics.
Yeah.
Because
I shouldn't say sport.
Because the end goal is to get children to transition from a young age and to turn children out. That is the goal. That's why they're attacking kids so young. They want them by 12 to transition because they understand once that child transitions, it's over for the rest of their lives. And they're forever going to be on pharmaceuticals. And that is a goal as well, because that's $1 million industry.
Yeah.
You mean $1 billion industry?
Billion.
Well, yes, I stand corrected because it is definitely billions of dollars that they are making. Once you transition, you're essentially never going to go back. You're going to have all type of complications. You will forever need big pharma in your life, forever.
Agreed. Well, and the only reason why I corrected you is because millions of dollars is what they waste to force this stuff upon us. Is millions of dollars. Billions is what the industry is going to profit from.
Right. No, you're right.
It's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
I I'm all for giving them. I said sport earlier, but I meant league. They should have their own leagues. Wherever it is, you just play with other transgenders. That's where happy compromise. You play and hump each other. That's where you go.
Yeah, I just think
I think they should just go to a whole nother island and leave the rest of the same people alone.
How about Mars, Soonie? Would you be happy if we sent them?
Sure, because they're probably going to perish en route, so I wouldn't mind.
oh my god.
I'll send a message to your friend Elon. So.
God.
It'll be Space Force.
Cool.
Oh my gosh.
So with that one, I think we beat that dead horse. Do we want to touch on Uvalde yet?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about that's going to be a big topic. Yeah, let's talk about Uvalde.
Who wants to lead it off?
I think
I don't know.
Soonie, do you have the latest? I don't have the latest on the latest, but
why y'all putting all the hard topics on me? I'm getting where this is going.
Well,
you get for having the free Joe Biden on your mouth.
I'll put it back and I'll remain quiet for the rest of the show.
Because she said it, I can say because you're black.
It's because I'm black.
I'll speak for you.
So we want to put me in the police? Okay. I see where this is going. Hey, look. I'm just gonna say, I told you so. You know, a lot of people were at my neck for a lot of things that I was saying because they felt like I was being unfair to police. Look, you guys put police. I'm not talking about people on the panel. I'm talking about the general public. A lot of people who back the blue. You put police on this crazy pedestal of we have to respect them. They're doing a job that no one else would step up and do. Well, I'm sorry, but those officers didn't do a job that no one else would step up and do that day. Based on the evidence that was presented today and updates, and I'll play a few clips. I don't think it's a far stretch for all of us to say it shouldn't have took 77 minutes. Whatever went down in that hallway with that police department was shitty. It shouldn't have taken that long. Every department should be prepared. We should only be having conversations about funding the police, helping them get better training, and how can we effectively place deterrence at school so that people don't feel like they can just walk up in there and shoot shit up. They're not doing that to the White House because they know I'm probably going to get fucked up. They don't do this to police stations. They don't do this to any other buildings. They do it at malls, subways, where there's minimal security. That's where they do it. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I somewhat feel vindicated on these topics because you have way too many people just, in my opinion, blindly defending cops because of this whole back the blue thing. Is if you can't give constructive criticism and it be just constructive criticism, I'm kind of tired of people appealing to authority on this subject and saying, well, you don't know because you're not a cop. Well, you don't know science, so you should trust the experts and shut up talking about jabs. I think that's fair.
Yeah. So I'm gonna like I don't like to talk in code. So Brennan Tatum has been talking on Instagram, and he's been very, very adamant about the fact that he's been very, very adamant about somewhat defending the police and being very, very like, hey, we need to not blame the police on this. We need to not point all the fingers towards the police. We don't know the whole story, blah, blah, blah. I will say, and I still say this, that not all the facts have come out. However, just from what we do know, it doesn't look good with the police, for sure. It doesn't look good with the police's processes, their policies. However it seems right now that they conducted themselves, it doesn't look good. And now that we're seeing additional information, granted, they're just still shots from the video. We haven't actually seen a video. We haven't seen body-worn camera yet. All that stuff's still missing. But as of right now, it doesn't look good. And now, and I didn't watch this, but there was they testified today about who were they testifying to? Congress, Soonie? Or the Senate? Who were they testifying to?
It was a Senate testimony.
Yeah. So they were testifying to the Senate, and it was all the people involved. So there's information that now they are swearing under oath is how it all went down, and that doesn't look good, right? So today Tatum was on a live chat for like 3 hours debating people about this. And, you know, I'll say this, whether you feel vindicated, whether whatever you want to keep, you know, he wants to keep arguing this over and over and over again. Nobody really wins in this situation. There's kids that are dead. You know, I hope that somewhere in the background, people are talking about how we can make sure that this doesn't happen with getting some type of process and resources to schools so that they also don't have issues protecting our children. But it's just sad to see the back and forth bickering about this. It's sad to see somebody that I really, really respect not be able to just say, hey, you know what, I might have been wrong about this. And maybe I need to just take a step back and just listen like I'm telling everybody else to do, you know? So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, and just to clarify, because when we say the Senate, it was the Senate of the local Senate, the state Senate. And because I was like, oh man, did I misread? And so I just wanted to clarify that, but I 100% agree. The part that I'm seeing here and some of the stuff that was questioned, the local Senate wasn't hard enough on them. They should have been much harder on some of the stuff that was thrown out. And overall, we're still just talking about it. No, what are you going to do tomorrow? Because you have copycat shooters that will go out and do stuff like this again and replicate it and do it at another school. What are you doing now is what needs to be done. Like, that's the part that they need to address. And all of this talk is, it's really frustrating. They need to start actually having some actions put in place.
It is. And Kimberly, just to address your topic, I do know that, you know, Tatum said he had an inside source. However, I have been watching every single live. I have been watching every single video he's done about this. And the source has kind of failed him on a few things more than once. So at some point, I would hope that Tatum is questioning his source and going, hey, bro, or sis, or whatever. Are you sure you got this story right? Because multiple times, you know, you told me that they didn't, or they used the Halligan, or they didn't use the Halligan. Then you told me there were no shields, and there were shields. Like, there's too many things that your source is wrong on. And we can all have sources, right? Doesn't mean that our source is right.
Should never cite the source until you can validate it, right?
Why you wait until an investigation, until information is out there? I've had to be real careful on this one talking about it, because like that second day in and you're like, I have no idea what's happening. All I know is that door was not functional. The police were out there for an hour, and yeah, I'm pretty sure any group of soldiers or Marines or even sailors or airmen would have kicked that door down. And how do you go home and face your kids knowing that you let 19 children die before you went into the room?
Exactly.
How do you feel about it, Bree?
I honestly, you know, I love cops, so it's very hard for me. I did read the report on it, or the transcripts rather, and it seems to me as if I look at it from this point, and here's why. I don't believe that cops just sat there wanting or just allowing kids to die. Something happened, and until we have the full investigation, we won't know exactly what took place. And this is why I don't want to be so quick to jump on a side or come to a conclusion. Obviously, I'm going to lean more towards a cop. But what I'm saying is that one of the cops that were in that hallway, I believe, he got a phone call, and it was his wife. And his wife was telling him, I'm bleeding out. Imagine your wife calling you, telling you, I'm bleeding out, right? And there's children around you dying. You're watching these kids being decapitated and blown to smithereens. I just don't think in my mind that anybody is going to sit back and be like, you know what, let me just sit here for another 45 minutes while my wife dies. There's something that had to have taken place. Something. So I'm more on the side of now just allowing it, you know, whatever happened in Uvalde to come out and for us to get the full investigation so we know precisely what took place and what happened. I know that the school doors you cannot just kick in. you can't. They're literally made a specific way. So just in case something like this is to happen, an intruder can't come in, right? So the doors cannot just easily be broken into. So,
I mean, what was that stupid thing?
Huh? What was that?
This is my phone.
Oh.
Well, I agree with you, Bree. The only thing is if that is the truth, why has everything been announced incorrectly from the beginning? Yeah. And that's why a lot of people are so critical of this. It's like we have been fed wrong information since the first 5 minutes of the reported issue.
Well, can I say something to that?
Absolutely.
I think the reason behind that is the public wants information, and information, we're in an information age, and it's great, but as great as it is, it for reasons just as you said, this is why we shouldn't be so quick to want to grasp that information. I want to know this, know that, I want to know that, because the reality is you, within the first 24 48 hours, probably even a month, you don't have everything in front of you to give to the public. So the pieces of the puzzle, well, you're trying to put them together and they're not making sense. And so people are going to think you're lying to me. You're not telling me the truth, or this people have this information, this department has that information, and it's scattered and it's all over the place and it doesn't make any sense. And this is why I personally believe they should have shut their mouths and said at this time, the investigation isn't complete. They should have allowed for the investigation to be complete and then go about telling everybody.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But here's the problem, and I'm going to give you just the most recent example. We had, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? They released, there's a whole bunch of news articles with leaked pictures of the video. Just release the damn video. So there's no questioning anymore. Release the video. It's the same thing we ask when an officer shoots somebody. Where's the body cam? Let's see the body cam and let's see what happened. And that's where they keep leaking this information slowly out, and it's very weird. It's not being handled in the way any police force would normally handle something like this, and that's where there's a lot of questioning going on. Not that I love cops too, and I support them, but in this scenario, I feel right now there's a reason to question the leadership of this department and say they're set up to fail, and probably not on purpose, but they are not trained or ready for any of these scenarios. And there needs to be something addressing that. And no one's doing it. We're so worried about the slow leak of information 1 week at a time. And that's a problem. That is a big problem.
Someone's lying, though, because either they tried the door like they said and were waiting for keys, or the door didn't work and was open no matter what. So someone's lying, from which derives all the problems we're running into, which is, yes, there's a lot of people here that are completely culpable of being cowards, and that the punishment they're going to feel for the rest of their life, going to bed every night knowing that they probably could have saved a few more children, probably a couple children, in a 50-minute span got removed, just
500
ripped from their families' lives. Yeah,
I think
they're trying to block the body cam coming out. They kicked people out of the meeting, reporters out of the meeting last night. They've been lying, like people have been lying this whole damn time. Like they know they fucked up.
They don't want it to come out, and they're trying to use a loophole of, we killed the suspect, and they don't want it released. Listen, body cam is released the next day with shootings that occur on the street with traffic stops, if not the next couple hours. I get this is different, but you shouldn't be trying to block body cams from being released if you have nothing to hide. I'm gonna play a clip from the Senate hearing that I watched today, because he talks about this topic of if the door was actually locked and what the cops did.
There's many references about Chief Arredondo about the door being locked and needing keys and more keys and a master key and just constant references to keys. But is there any evidence whatsoever that shows through the video as it was examined later that the door was that there was an attempt to open the door or test whether or not it was locked?
We could never see anybody put their hand on the door, and of course, up until the breach. And then at the last at the breach. We've gone back and talked to the breachers, re-interviewed the breachers, and they said, no, they didn't try the door handle beforehand.
I mean, are we not to listen? This is what I mean, is when we listen to these hearings and we listen to the brass on this situation, they're viewing this. We're not supposed to listen to them. We're supposed to just wait until all the facts come out. Since when don't we listen to leadership of the police departments? Like, to me, this is kind of unprecedented, where we can't listen to anybody except for the people that were there. Any other time, we listen to police chiefs talk about a shooting being justified or unjustified based on what they viewed on the body cam. But now, don't listen to them because they could potentially be lying. Where does that make sense?
Yeah, but my thing about that is too, though, and I have a question to that. They would have pulled on the door handle, right? And let's just say that the classroom door would have opened. The classroom door would have opened, and then those officers would have went in that don't have shields, they don't have long guns, and what would have happened or what would have occurred?
But they did have shields and they did have long guns.
Yes.
They're responding officers with shield and long guns.
It's not about the first responding officers. It's about the officers that showed up minutes later with shields and long guns. Those officers never attempted to open the door.
And for those officers, the thing that I don't know how many more kids honestly they have. The guy clearly there with a clear agenda to shoot and kill these people, and that's what he executed. I just don't see how it would have made much of a difference. Maybe one or two kids, and yes, I understand their life is significant and it would have been worth saving, but I think most damage was done, and obviously we'll find this out later, but most of the damage was done within the first minute that he probably walked through that building.
It doesn't matter. There's a girl that was hiding in that room making several 911 phone calls and was still alive. Even if her life was saved, I don't care. That would have been worth it.
Did they say in that hearing, Soonie, if the 911 calls were being relayed to the officers? Because I know that there was something about their radios not working in the hallway.
I didn't hear that. I only watched the first 2 hours. I think it's about 5 hours long. I didn't watch the remaining of the hearing, so they might have. I just haven't seen that part yet.
Yeah. Somebody asked in the comments, and I pinned it in here, how many kids were evacuated successfully, or people, and it was 550 teachers and students who were successfully evacuated. So, just answering that question.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree that with what Bree said, and I think the police are not all at fault. I think it's a combination of a lot of things gone wrong. I think the school wasn't prepared for a situation like this. I think the police was not prepared for a situation like this. It's just a fail all around. It's just a sad, sad situation. And I just go back to the fact that we just need to start working on how are we we can't make sure that this will never happen again, but what can we do better?
Sorry, go ahead.
Me personally, looking at it, from what I read and understand about the situation, the door was open. Who left the door open, right, for him to enter into the school? Anybody working inside of a school knows firsthand that all doors at all times are secured. So I just, to say the cops and to put everything off on the cops, it's kind of like I don't agree with that stance. Because for one, if the guy wouldn't have made the choice to go in and shoot that school up, none of those people would. So I just don't like the fact that everything's being pushed on the cops as if it was their fault. There were a lot of things that could have occurred before that little boy even went in there to shoot it up. So to say that it was just the cops and the cops failed and the cops are the reason why 21 people are dead, I just disagree with that.
I don't think we're saying the cops failing. We're saying the leadership of those officers failed them because of training.
I'm saying the cops did exactly what I would expect them to do, and that's why you should never rely on them for your protection.
And
Kevin has a different opinion then.
I think at the end of the day, you have to look at it like this. Yes, the teachers and schools and school district, right, could have done better things to make sure that, the police had a key, had a way in, the teachers had proper training. But at the end of the day, the police are called to serve and protect. The police were called there to do
Exactly.
a job.
That's what we
And
paid them to do.
they didn't do as good of a job as they should have done from what we see right now. Could there be more information that comes out that makes it look totally different? There very well could be. I don't know.
I got a
But
question.
Yeah.
When you finish. So I don't want to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead. You're good.
Why is it when cops look shady, we continue to give them the benefit of the doubt? We don't do that with any other event. We don't do it with politicians. We don't do it with suspects. Why are we doing it here? It doesn't look right. So what is the problem with saying this shit doesn't look right? The door was not open. It was closed. They didn't lock. You didn't even try to open the door after you made several statements that you did. And surveillance footage shows that you didn't open the door. Why is brass going to lie on police officers? Like, why can't we just say, this department fucked up? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why we have to have such care and I can't say this about cops. Fuck that, bro. Those people in that city, in that state, pay your salary. We say the same thing about those people in Washington that sit there and represent us. I pay your salary. You are there because I put you there with my vote. Why is it any different for police? I have the same energy towards, I'm a military spouse. And when the military fucks up, who the first person is running their mouth? Lloyd Austin, you suck. I don't reserve judgment just because my husband's in the Air Force. They suck. The military is woke. They suck.
Did you see the video, the naval training video?
I did.
Ooh.
Soonie,
I don't know. That's just my question. I don't get it.
If I can't get a hold of you tomorrow for our morning chat, I'm going to know they put you in the break.
I know, right?
Oh, God.
She's going to have free Joe Biden taped over her mouth.
And my grandfather was a police officer. I have family members who are police officers. One of my mentors that does lives with me, police officer. So it's not like I'm coming at this from an ignorant standpoint. I'm going to people who have more information, more understanding, more training, and they're understanding, look, I get it. You're not wrong on this. This police department failed. Why are conservatives having such a hard time? I don't get it. It's actually bothering me because I don't understand it.
I think in general, people get really defensive of police, especially right now in the climate that we're in, right? Like they feel like we have to really just protect our police and we don't want them to take any more heat because they're already looking for ways to defund the police. But they do. I mean, that doesn't mean that we can't be critical of people and say, hey, you need to get better. Now, in Tatum's case, the only thing I didn't like about it, I get that, he's very like lenient and pro police. The only thing I didn't like about it is that it got to a point where he was like getting really, really frustrated and like calling, like you said, Soonie, calling people dumb. Like that's not cool to call people dumb in general, that, for your opinion, because we should all be able to have a discussion and all be able to agree to disagree.
What if someone's dumb though?
Yeah, but you know what? I get it. There are dumb people. I get it. There are dumb people, and I get who he was talking to, right? I get who he was talking to. He's talking to people who clearly don't do their research. But he was going after some pretty prominent, influencers and saying they didn't know what they were talking about. And I believe indirectly, Soonie was one of them.
I was indirectly one of those. I mean, he had me on several times and he commented, you just don't understand. Like, that's a pet peeve. Don't tell me what I don't understand. I have the same brain as everyone else, and my brain is probably at very high capacity of functionality because I'm not just ignorantly talking. I'm not. I don't have any feelings. I have no skin in the game. So me taking a side, that's not there for me. I'm doing my best to be objective and saying, hey, look, I love police officers. I have Back the Blue t-shirts merch that I used to sell. I have family members that are cops, but I'm not just going to keep giving you outs. This is not happening. Training needs to happen. There needs to be more funding. Brass, you need to allocate the funds to where they need to go. And we need to stop sucking off Sorry, Trump and police at this point, because that's what it looks like. Looks like their balls are in your mouth and you're just gargling on them bitches.
Don't tread on me.
Call a spade a spade.
The don't tread on me next to Back to Blue is my favorite thing in the world.
And yeah, I love Tatum. Tatum is an awesome guy. He's extended an invite to his shows. I've gone on his profile, on his platforms. He's come online. I have nothing against him. We just don't agree on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, it's about the individual versus, like, on an individual level. If you are a cop that understands your job is to protect the rights of the people that you are serving, that are paying your salary, that is us, and you value them and you respect them, we will give you that same value and respect back. Right. But if you're a cop and you're listening and you're thinking to yourself, man, are they talking about me? Ask yourself this. If there were bad cops in your department, would you feel comfortable speaking up about it to your superiors? If the answer is no, okay, time to reevaluate. Time to reevaluate yourself in your department, and those are the cops that I'm talking about. But if you are good and respectful, and you think, honest to God, you could bring a complaint about the behavior of the officers in your department, and the anger will be directed at the deserving party and not yourself. Like that's.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Right. Yeah.
We have one more clip on this subject to tie it all in together. I don't know. I would really encourage people to go back and watch the Senate Special Committee hearings. Just go listen to them. Go listen to all the evidence they're putting out. Go listen to what leadership is saying. Listen to what actually happened and did not happen. And use your own brain. But don't be blindly just supporting stuff just for the sake of supporting it. You make yourself look stupid when you do that. It's like you don't have a functioning brain.
Facts. What clip you got? What is this?
This is
the magazine.
Is it the magazine? This is leadership talking about what they saw on surveillance.
There's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary is an absolute failure and antithetical to everything we've learned over the last 2 decades since the Columbine massacre. 3 minutes after the subject entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject. The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander, who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children. The officers had weapons, the children had none. The officers had body armor, the children had none. The officers had training, the subject had none. Yeah. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 8 seconds. That's how long the children waited and the teachers waited in rooms 111 to be rescued. And while they waited, the on-scene commander waited for a radio and rifles. Then he waited for shields. Then he waited for SWAT. Lastly, he waited for a key that was never needed. The post-Columbine doctrine is clear and compelling. And there's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response.
Hey, I don't know, guys.
Was that
right there? Listening to that and the rest of the hearing kind of just cemented in my brain. I wasn't being too harsh on cops. This department failed. And I'm not going to feel bad about saying that. I don't hate cops. I'm not BLM. I'm not a liberal. I am a concerned citizen with children in school. And I'm sorry, but if this was my kid at this school, hell would be raining down on this police department of me never shutting up. I would be at every Senate hearing, every single one of them. And you are going to understand the loss of life, man. It's honestly, I'm more concerned about the parents and the students at this point.
Soonie, who was that talking?
Oh, what's his name? Hold on, let me look it up. I remember his name. I was sharing all his stuff.
I just want to point out to Lori really quick. I didn't say that officers don't. I said if you are a police officer asking yourself honestly and you don't think you can, that's where the problem is. Yeah, but an hour, what was it? 1 hour, 14 minutes? That's a hell of a long time.
It really is.
That is a hell of a long time. Did you notice how everything that happened? Imagine you're in this situation and somebody asks you, what do we do? Every single level of that was, let me think of the next thing to cause to wait a little longer. Oh, we need guns. Oh, we need shields. Oh, we need this. Oh, now we need that. Oh, now we need this. Next thing you know, 19 kids or 17, 19 kids are dead and 2 teachers. Yeah.
But I do want to say, I don't think that happened, Kevin, because clearly 500 something students and teachers were evacuated. So there was clearly something going on there. Why they made decisions about those 2 particular classrooms is what I'm interested in. So it's not that they were.
That's where the bad guy was.
But that's the narrative that I don't.
That's where all the risk was.
But I'm saying that you have to be careful about painting this narrative that they were just like chilling to get up against a wall.
Yeah, they were chilling at the corner of the wall. They were sitting there with their gun like at the corner of the wall.
I don't think they were. See, that's the thing.
That's what the pictures in the video says.
What pictures and videos show them chilling at the wall? Because there were people that were responsible for doing whatever. I forget what the title of the job is. Maybe Seth can help me. But their job is to control the scene.
Yeah, they were arresting the parents.
I have a question.
No, those were the people that were in charge of the scene, is what I understand. My question is, who was evacuating the 550 people? Were they evacuating?
I know one mother went in and grabbed her own damn children, so I guess who knows?
There's no
But
way.
she didn't.
There's literally no way she went.
She did run in there. That lady.
She ran in there. She ran in there, but then when you watch the thing, she goes, "I ran into the classroom and my kid was fine, so I went to the next classroom." What?
Right,
if there was an active shooter in the building, I would have grabbed that kid too. I would have grabbed my kid and been like, "No,
here's the
question:
question:
to safety."
The officers in the hallway, what were they doing?
That's a great
question.
Because
we are. That's kind of like that's a disingenuous argument. We know that there were cops evacuating children, but our focus is on the 19 cops in the hallway. What were they doing?
Right. That's my question.
We have
to open the door.
But see, the thing is none of us know. And I get that we see video or whatever else, but for the meantime, like I was saying before, and everybody can have their own opinion about it, but I just believe that we honestly don't know what took place. Well, over time, will we find out? Sure, we will find out exactly what took place or what happened. Why did they decide to go into the room? I mean, we don't know that answer either. But to say that the cops just sat there and they did absolutely nothing, I guess that's what I have a problem with. I just don't believe that they just sat there and was like, you know what, we're just
they did the bare minimum.
Well, we don't know that, Kevin.
That's what they did. That's exactly what they did. The maximum. I have a roommate right here in my house that could have breached that door with me. One of us probably would have died, but one of us would have got him. Why? Because we were trained in that. He was a Marine.
Bree just said you can't breach the door.
The door was open.
Why can't you breach the door?
I'm saying,
because school doors are not designed the same.
They were unlocked. The door was never locked.
They were not locked. You open it. You go in. The footage shows these cops standing there.
So that's my question: is what decision did they? Why did they not go?
The decision they made was to not do everything they possibly could to save those children. That's the decision they made.
My question is, why? Yes, exactly. I think that this is what Tatum's saying is he's just interested to know what was the decision process in the decisions that they decided to take, so that we can say, okay, that was a bad decision. Okay, that was poor communication. I think that that's the part that's missing is we don't know really what all that was about, what they were saying, what they were hearing, were the radios working, was 911 relaying the phone calls? We don't know.
That's not true because we do have transcripts that came from the body cams that we get to hear. What's his name? Peter Arendo, that guy right there.
This guy.
He is on. They have transcripts of him saying he's waiting for keys. He's waiting for a radio. So
if he's waiting for keys.
I mean, I don't get mad at people when they say, well, cops weren't doing anything, because I understand exactly what they're saying. If you are waiting for a radio, you have long rifles, you have shields. What do you need a radio for?
So
you're waiting for keys that would have never, those keys would have never opened the door. They didn't need it because the doors were not locked.
Can I ask a question though? How did they come to know that the doors were not locked?
Because they
pulled it off its hinges
a strip
and tried out
on the door that wasn't working. So the door never, even when the teacher shut the door, the suspect was able to open it because it didn't work. It was faulty.
I think
the cops were under the impression, I'm assuming, because they said that
they didn't try to open it.
I get what you're saying, but they were still under the impression that it was locked. They didn't know that the door was broken that day. So they were under the impression. So that's why he said, I'm waiting for keys so that he could open it. So my thing is, and I get it, they're flawed people. I understand what you guys are saying. They're flawed. They made a mistake. They were not prepared. And especially being in Uvalde, I would probably say, yeah, you're right. They were underprepared and understaffed that day. It was exactly. But my thing is it's not unreasonable to think that they thought more than likely the suspect had that door locked. Why would he keep a door open?
Well, the question, the point is that they should have been. The protocol is get in there. The protocol is get the hell in there is the protocol. The protocol is, you know what? If a police officer dies, it's better than a child dying. That's supposed to be the mindset. That's supposed to be the operation. And if they didn't do it, then they fail. Then they have failed every level of what the Democrats at the very least call for with the police, right? At the very least, they say we need to give up all of our rights because these people will protect us. I'm sorry, they did less than I would have done to protect my child. And you know why? Because it wasn't their child. They are human. Right?
Well, one of the officers did have a child in there. One of the guys
and a wife.
In that room?
Yes, and a wife.
Okay. So then
his wife called him. His wife was telling him, I'm bleeding out. His wife called him.
So again, the question becomes, why wasn't he the one trying to open the door? When did he find that out? Was he the first one in the door? Because at the end of the day, again, the door was not locked. So when they said they needed to wait for a key, why? Were they looking for the key?
But we know that now. But we know that now. They didn't know that. What I'm saying
I don't even believe it. I don't believe a cop had his wife and his child in that room anymore. I don't believe shit that this police department is telling us.
But we do believe what just recently came out, right? When they just made that, when they went before the Senate and they said that the cops failed. We believe that part, but we don't believe the other part.
I don't believe anything coming out of the police officers' mouths at this point. No. Nothing. Not a single damn word.
So essentially we're picking and choosing.
Yes, I'm picking against the liars because someone's lying in this line, and I'm going for what is the proof that they're trying to lie to hide.
So what are they trying to? That my thing is though, I think to paint a narrative that maybe even in fact that they just wanted that they were like, well, whatever, we're just gonna let and then in the transcripts. Literally, a wife called her own husband and said, look, I'm bleeding out. So my point is that when you hear that, unless you're cold and you're heartless, when you hear something like that, something had to have been taking place. They had to have been under the impression that door was sealed shut. Who wouldn't be under the impression? What person goes?
The person who walks up and tries to check it. That's the point.
But I'm just thinking about this logically. Like in an active shooter situation, you don't know what's on the other side of that door. I agree with you. I assumed. I didn't say anything about.
Ask any Marine that invaded Mosul.
I assumed. Hold on just a second. I assumed that they maybe thought the door closed behind him, or maybe they checked it and it was locked. I assumed that they checked it. Okay, until I heard today. I also heard today that there was a repair request put in for that door because it had been reported, and I think that this was at the hearing, I heard a clip from it, it had been reported that the door had locking issues and they had never fixed it. Okay, so what do we do? Do we blame the school? Do we blame the maintenance? Do we blame the people that didn't respond to that maintenance request?
No.
again, I agree with Bree that I am interested to know how a man gets a call from his wife and knows that his child is in that building and he doesn't go and just bust in through the doors. Because I think any man, any father would. So something else was going on that we don't know about. That's what I think. And that's why I need to know the whole story. I'm just at a loss.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the whole appealing to emotion after the fact. That clouds anyone's judgment.
I'm
just gonna keep going back. Yeah. Bottom line is this police department failed. It does not matter what excuse you try to give them. Well, they didn't know this, they didn't know that. They're trained to be able to effectively eliminate a target in this setting. This is an active shooter setting. He changed it to a barricaded situation because his assumption, I don't hear any more shooting. It doesn't matter. You guys fucking failed. They failed.
Like, I won't
What's up,
take
Uncle
it either. Yeah.
Howdy.
How you
Uncle
doing?
Sed is in the building.
Well, I think those of you guys who are on live with and heard me and Tatum go back and forth, and I hear Kevin quite a bit, and there are a lot of things I don't agree with what he says, but I think that he's pretty much on point on this one. And this is the same thing I asked Brandon. I've done a lot of active shooter training, a lot, 15 years worth, and it is always the same. It is always the same when we respond to active shooters. I have never in my life done active shooter training that we go from active shooter, there's still shots, there's a possibility for life to still be in there, and then we treat it as a barricade. That is an issue. And if that is the command, and it's really weird because you got this guy who's a police chief saying, hey, I'm not in charge. I don't want anything to do with this. That's weird. I've been in an active shooter, where we had officers getting shot at, and you have like one thing that I do not believe a woman ran through an inner and outer perimeter past police and did all that. That just seems really weird that could happen. And I'm trying to be careful because we are looking at a still video, a still shot. Image. I don't know. I want to be fair. I don't know if that timestamp is correct. If it is, it is. But we do see two shields there. I actually took a snapshot and tried to zoom in on those shields. And if I'm being honest, the shields that are sitting there on the ground do not look thick enough, in my opinion, that those would be able to take a 2.23 or 5.56 round. I could be wrong about that, Kev, but when I tried to zoom in, they looked pretty thin. But I think Kevin said something that's very important. And I said the same thing to Brandon when I was on the live. There is a difference, and we all know this, even as police officers, when we deal with situations, when we deal with adults and children. Anything that deals with kids, it's usually a more elevated level. I've been on record here in California. I am under no obligation to perform CPR on anybody. But if there is a child that can't breathe, you guys best believe that I'm performing CPR on a child way before I'm performing CPR on an adult. Same thing with if there's a classroom or anywhere where there are children, I'm doing any and everything to get in there and try to preserve life. And this is why, Bree, we can start pointing fingers at somebody because somebody has to take control of a situation. And Kevin and I have never worked together a day in our life. But I guarantee you, if he's combat trained in the training I have, if we go into a tactical situation, we will come up with a plan and we're going to go. It's not going to take us 35, 40 minutes to come up with a tactical plan.
Well, can I ask a question to that, though? Because you said that those shields, from your experience, right, being, 14, 15 years on the field, those shields look like pretty much if they went in there, more than likely what would have happened to those cops, they would have probably been shot and killed. That's what it seems like would have happened. So to me, it kind of seems like it would have been essentially almost useless for those first responding cops to enter in and not have anybody there, not have any backup, and not have any adequate equipment. What good would have been done for those cops to enter in there and be shot dead?
Pretty much every single one of these shootings is stopped by the first level of resistance. The first person to fire back usually is triumphant in that situation. But
is that correct, Son?
Say it again, Kev. Somebody, there's a little choppiness.
Bree, yeah, your mic's cutting in. Yeah, so most these mass shooter situations like this, not just using gun violence in America's statistics, they're stopped at the first level of resistance. The first person to put resistance up, if once they begin their attack, because normally they target the first person that can do anything, but after that level, the first level of resistance they meet is almost always successful in stopping them, because the people doing this have literally zero combat training, almost universally. They have no idea how to respond. That's why I said, if me and my roommate were there, 2 of us could have done it. The first one in, probably going to die. That's it. That's something you have to acknowledge that was in the back of all these brains, and they made the decision, well, it's not worth it. Because they were afraid. Human beings get afraid in these situations.
I believe they got in over, I think it's a small town. They've never...
They're allowed to be afraid.
They probably haven't had any significant things happen, like a larger major city, maybe where I'm at. And unfortunately, a lot of people's lives were lost because of lack of training and lack of being prepared. And this is what I talked about today. Kevin touched on this earlier. I do understand where there was a time delay, because we don't readily have a shield rolling around 10-8. So if I had to breach a door or somebody pinned up in a classroom, we are actually waiting for that resource to get to point A to point B. I get that, but I just think, man, if that 77 minutes is accurate, I understand that they were getting other people out and preserving life, yes, but that's where you have an inner perimeter and an outer perimeter. Your outer perimeter guys are going to be the ones more than likely that are evacuating people, because the inner perimeter guys are responsible for containing the suspect. So you can actually do 2 things at once. So I don't believe, like when we say that there were a bunch of cops just doing absolutely nothing, I don't believe that, but I think that they got to a point, Kev, that they just didn't know, hey, man, we're getting shot at. We're trying to breach this door. And as you know, a wall is not sufficient. There's a difference between cover and concealment. With the rifle, a wall is only concealment. It's not cover. Because if Kevin was shooting at me with the 5.56, shooting through a wall, all he has to do is think to where I'm at, and he can put rounds down range.
Especially
but even with that, man, we still breed this. It has to be a dynamics. We have to be constantly evolving, because even when I asked Brandon, if we reasonably believe that there was still a child, and it appears that kids were still calling, they were calling 911 and whispering, even if we reasonably believe that there is someone still alive in there, we have to treat it as an active shooter. We never switch that to a barricade situation. Never.
But is it fair to believe that at the time when the chief or whoever made that call, he was under the impression that the shooting had stopped? Now, obviously, looking back, we have the information. So I think it's a lot easier looking at the information and saying, well, the cops didn't fill in the blanks, right? But when you're actually in that situation and it's occurring, you don't have this information. You don't have what we have to look back and say, well, yes, this should have been taking place and this should have been executed. So, I mean, I just think, like I said before, this narrative that's being pushed or painted that the cops just sat back and decided to do nothing, I think Uvalde is a very underdeveloped town. I don't believe that they were prepared. I don't believe that they had what it took. So under that impression, if those cops would have went in there, I believe that they would have died, and they would have been no use to anybody whatsoever.
I think the other important thing, and somebody mentioned it in the comments, is I believe, and said, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there were 6 officers on duty that day. So the first call that they got was about the grandmother getting shot in the face. Everybody was there. Then they got shots fired at the funeral home. And then the school kind of happened around that same time. Is that correct? So they had
the confusion is the Uvalde Police Department and the Uvalde School District Police are not the same. They're 2 separate police departments. The school district police only have 6 officers for the entire school district. Uvalde PD, if memory serves me correctly, I think they have about 57 cops, something like that. But with 57 cops, honestly, if you divide that into 3 or 4 shifts, they probably would have had maybe 2 or 3 cops on duty based on the population that they have of, I forgot how many thousand. I know it's pretty small. So just right there, they don't have the sufficient number of police officers to deal with that situation. But what governmental agencies do is they look at, I forgot the number, it's 1 police officer per how many thousand people, and that's how they justify in every department of what size police department should be based on 1 officer per how many thousand. So, I mean, a situation like that, someone like a Kevin who has combat experience going into a small place like that, prepared, it's going to be problematic. And because everything that the officers are doing, we're trying to respond and deal with something. So where it's a knee-jerk reaction, you probably had some police officers that were actually going to the house to deal with the grandmother who'd been shot in the face. So that took up resources. And then now you're getting calls for shots fired in another location. So it's just, it's a clusterfuck, excuse my language. It's like the perfect storm of what absolutely could go wrong, a nightmare for those officers there. Murphy's Law, what could go wrong went wrong for them that day.
My point is this is why it's so important for, people to take responsibility for themselves. This is like what we talk about when we talk about a weakening in America, right? This is what we talk about when we talk about, because like at the end of the day, I'm not here to blame a single person. Like, I need to clarify. These cops, I'm not joking when I said it behaved exactly as I would expect them to behave, right? Nobody sat there and took initiative in the situation and said, I don't give a fuck what the chief says, we're going in, because you didn't have that kind of person present. That's kind of how our society has become, right? The blame isn't... They obviously had no idea what they were doing. They weren't prepared or willing, I guess. Like, you can't say anything but they weren't willing to give up their lives because they didn't try to, right? They didn't try to. And you can't tell me they wanted to, because they would have. And I don't know how I would have behaved in that situation myself. But I do know the way they behaved is how I would expect a human to behave. And it takes an exceptional person to go above and beyond. And the point I'm trying to make as well is that we don't have those exceptional people in our society. The only time people really prove themselves as exceptional is usually when their kids are on the line. Although if there was a cop with a child in this room, I'm not changing my opinion on that. What I'm saying is, like, this is why it's so important for people to not listen when people start calling for us to abdicate our responsibilities for personal safety to the police. This was the worst possible situation they could run into, and this is how they responded. How do you think they're going to respond to normal situations? Do you expect the police to be there when you're being raped? Do you expect the police to be there when someone's breaking into your house? Do you expect the police to be able to be there when someone breaks in your home and your children are alone? The point I'm making is that this should be a gigantic wake-up call to everybody across this country, that the Second Amendment that is currently under assault by this is the very thing that we need the most, because this just proves the cops cannot be expected to do what to perform at this high level of esteem that a lot of people seem to hold them in. And that is not their fault. That is our fault for placing them there.
So I'll give you a little pushback.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little pushback on that. And the reason being, because I've lost a couple of coworkers in the line of duty. So I think that they actually put their neck on the line.
Some are. By all stretches.
Yes. I would say the majority of us are willing to do things.
Yes.
But I will agree with you. We are human beings.
Yeah.
There have been multiple times where I've gone to subject with guns, shots fired, and I'm talking about people actively shooting. And I thought that, you know what? Hey, I may not go home. I just realized that, the call's going out. Somebody is shooting at somebody, and I may not make it home. That's just part of what goes through my mind. But I can't say that for every single officer. We are human beings. I think that everything, where I'm going to give Kev a lot of respect is he even said himself, he doesn't know how he would have reacted in that same situation. Yeah. I would like to think I would have stepped up and done something just because I have a history of being involved in stepping up and doing things and putting myself in harm's way for people. I think that Soonie was spot on. I was listening to her when I was in the chat. There's nothing wrong with saying that there were mistakes made. They're 100%, Bree, the guy who did this heinous act, he's 100% responsible.
Yeah.
However, we are police officers because we understand that there's going to be a segment of population that's not going to abide by rules. They're going to prey on people that can't protect themselves or not willing to protect themselves.
Yep.
So we have to train. That's why you guys have heard me, Soonie. Do you know the number one thing, and Mo, that I say over and over in lives is I talk about training. I don't care. When we talk about, everybody goes, oh, you're pro cop and you don't want civilians to have guns. What did I tell you, Soonie? I don't care who does the job if they're trained. The only thing is you see these cops who go through training, they failed. What do you think the average civilian is going to do? You think the average civilian is going to be able to do that? The average civilian is going to wet the bed just like these cops who had minimal training. It takes, Kevin, it takes a special person to give their life for somebody they don't know. That is something that you just, either you have it or you don't.
Exactly.
Each and every one of us on here will give our lives for our own family, but animals do that shit. But to give your life for somebody's property, somebody else's kids or family, that takes a special cat. And Soonie, and that's why you see I do ride hard. I'm a military vet as well. I ride hard for my military and my cops because I understand that there is sometimes we pay a sacrifice that we can never get back.
Exactly. And I just want to say, so the point I'm making is at no point am I saying I would have 100% done any of these acts. The reason why I'm saying they were unwilling is because if I was in that situation and I chose not to, I know in the back of my head, I'm acknowledging to myself, I'm not willing to go through that door and have my body put down. And I don't know, that could have been me. I could have said, no, I'm not. I could have crumbled under the pressure. That is a very human response. And said, I need to clarify, and I should probably clarify this. I do not deny that there are absolutely wonderful people among the police force. I just don't know what the percentage is. And I don't think the American people know what the percentage is, but it's not as high as people seem to think it is. And to me, it's not high enough to justify the calls. This is, again, the calls for abdicating our safety more and more to the police. Police can't be everywhere at once, and that itself is a reality that can't be denied. But I don't know.
Hey, Bree, whenever you want to talk, just let me know, and I'll unmute you. There's feedback.
But I mean, a part of me feels bad for him, honestly.
I just think we can do better, and when we can give money to all of these other entities, Soonie, I've been saying this, billions of dollars here, this, that, the other, but we can't have either armed civilians, prior military, a school resource officer to protect our most sacred things in this country.
Yeah, man.
I think it's problematic because Kevin, so when I was a school resource officer, I had 7 schools that I was responsible for.
Jesus
Christ. One high school, one middle school, and several elementary schools that feed into those schools. So
there was no permanent armed guard at any of those other schools unless you were there.
Exactly. So your responsibility as a high school, you have to be at the high school, before school, at lunch, and after school. Those are mandatory because most of the things happening gangs and all that type of stuff are primarily happening at your high school and your middle school level.
Yeah.
There were some times that I didn't even make it to the elementary schools during the week because I was so busy working cases and things like that at the other schools. If something went down, I would have been getting there after the fact or relying on a patrol officer to try to get there before me. We're stretched thin.
Quick question. In your experience, what percentages of banks have armed guards on duty or within the vicinity that can respond?
From my experience, I'm going to say 100%.
Yeah. What percentage of like sports venues or concerts have armed guards that can respond?
100%.
Yeah, that right there is the problem. That's a big, humongous part of the problem is that we have all these administrators and none of that salary goes to someone that can actually respond immediately at the situation.
So that begs the question then, so what's the solution? Because we can sit and talk about how the cops
that right there.
So the thing is about Uvalde, right? Mm-hmm. Uvalde is a small, underdeveloped town. So unless we're going to have a mass influx of cops that are willing to say, you know what, let me sign up for this job, it's still going to remain the same come August. All the schools out there are still going to be vulnerable. It's still going to remain the same. Not much is going to change out there. So what is going to change? What changes are they going to make or are we going to make to ensure that schools are now secured the way that they should be secured? Because everybody that's holding these conferences and giving all this information with anything, I always think to myself, okay, great. So what do we do now? We talk about it. Everybody makes a big buzz. I bet you by December, people probably won't even remember it anymore.
And we'll be having the same discussion in another 8 months to a year when they have another school shooting.
When they have another shooting and somebody figures out a way to completely shut down and bring 2 or 3 other guys with them and they kill 45 because they're going to top the next one.
Yeah.
So Congress, again, our Senate, Congress, the Democrats, nobody really gives a flying F about these children. Because if they did, instead of sending $51 billion to the Ukraine, why aren't they sending that across the United States so that we can arm
exactly. Because guns scare them and they don't want to have to say that guns are, like, here's the thing. When depending on how armed you want your society, depending on the stance you take with the government is what you're deciding what kind of tragedies you want to see. Do you want to see tragedies guided by the individual or tragedies guided by the state? And as history shows, when tragedies are guided by the state, like you lose like double-digit percentages of your population versus when tragedies are done by individuals, you lose double digits of individuals, right? And unfortunately, France is disarmed, and France's largest mass shooting saw 193, I think it was, people get killed. And ours is 36. And
I think we're also we've fallen into this thing, and this is a societal issue. We want things at convenience, but we want the protections, but we want convenience. You look at, regardless of how you feel of how 9/11 went down, or you now have to wait at the airport. You know, everybody wants high security, but then everybody is pissed off that you got to get to the airport 2 hours ahead. You have to wait. You can't bring any liquids. When I was an SRO, you know what they used to tell me, Mo, hey, can you wear like a polo shirt? You know, can you wear jeans and a polo shirt and your gun? Because, you know, can you park your police car around the side? Because, you know, you look a little scary. Yeah. So remember, I was telling you that, hey, don't wear your LBV and any of your tactical stuff because that scares people. Because, hey, God forbid that somebody starts shooting at the school and I only got my 15 shots in my gun belt because everything else is sitting in my car on the other side of campus because you guys didn't want me to look so scary. So we got to give something up, Bree. We have to understand that you may have to have a cop or armed civilian who's walking around campus looking like G.I. Joe. And deal with, you're going to have somebody looking like G.I. Joe who is going to be 100% committed to, if something goes down on that campus, he, or if it's a badass female, he or she is willing to neutralize that threat. and stop being so comfortable of not wanting everybody to look so scary with guns. So
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what? I actually had a subscriber of my channel send me a story because she had watched the live that we did with you last week, and she told me that she's a teacher at a school and her husband is a police officer, and in their school district, which I believe they said is North Dakota, somewhere in North Dakota, they have officers. They also have a drug sniffing dog on site. And she says, we hardly have any problems. We used to have a lot of problems with kids bringing in drugs, a lot of problems with gang fights on campus. And now that they know that those officers are there, now that they know that they have a drug sniffing dog there, doesn't happen as much. So,
yeah, there has to be something that detours people from wanting to take this course, right? Because what was it, Soonie, that said you don't see the White House getting shot up. You don't see presidents getting attacked. You hardly see bank robberies. I'm sure they happen. But the point is you don't see things like this occurring because we have what we need in place to protect those people or to protect their assets. But when it comes to these kids, like I said, we make a fuss about it maybe for a good 6-7 months. And then after that, it will go to the wayside and then another Columbine will happen. And then they'll just talk about taking away your guns, and that'll be it. And everybody believes that gun reform is the solution, and when in fact it's not. If we actually had maybe like a watch team, but for the schools, of parents that could be there within a matter of seconds, and that were able to get in, and they were trained properly and had the right shields and whatever else, man, they could have eliminated that guy. They could have stopped that guy before he even got down the road. Imagine if we had things like that already in place, but we don't. Like I said before, we just talk about it and then we allow it to go to the wayside. Why aren't people as a community getting together? We can't rely necessarily on our government to do this stuff for us.
Well,
we can't.
This is how we know that the government can do it. Two of the biggest differences between law enforcement and our military entities, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, mission-oriented, more proactive. They go, they train, they spin up for a specific mission. Our military is very rarely reactive unless, we can look at things like Pearl Harbor, things where, we get attacked and but we're usually mission-oriented. We're doing missions. Law enforcement, Soonie, we are let's wait around. Something bad really happens and then we react to it. Think of that. That's all, I sit around, somebody robs a bank, somebody gets robbed, and like Kevin said, you dial 911, then we're responding. 90% of our interactions are typically with victims because the bad guy has got, he's gone, and typically we catch them after the fact through an investigation. You have that rare 10 to 15% where, we get these engagements with the bad guys and either they give up, they turn into shootouts, chases, or whatever. But we are solely reactive. Just think, when we have any proactive policing, then you have people go, well, wait a minute, the cops are doing too much. If we're going out and police officers are doing enforcement and things that seem to be more proactive, then everybody doesn't like it. So they just want us to pretty much, I feel, a cop, sit in your car all day, sit in your office. We're going to do the minimum breed, and then when something happens, then we'll react to it. And this is the result that we're seeing in our
I was just going to say that. And then when the reaction is subpar, they also want you're cops and I get it. Your job is so hard. It's like, nah, bro. If you're not preparing for stuff like this and there's a training going into it, and Caleb, shout out to Caleb, he pulled up the budget for this department and it's crappy. It's crappy. This police department failed. Thanks for coming on with this said, by the way, but I do want to get to this gun legislation, this bipartisan agreement that just came out today. I won't be able to go through it all. If you can stay in the back chat before you leave, because we're about to end soon. This is probably the worst piece of legislation regarding gun control that I have ever seen.
Yep.
And I only want to bring this up because we're on a topic of school, and I will discuss the rest of this stuff further on Instagram. They are using a federal committee to push down recommendations on how schools can secure themselves. Only evidence-based. All right? They're creating an entirely different department, 2 different departments, to help schools secure themselves with evidence-based practices. I'm going to keep saying that. They're only going to use sample sizes around America that have evidence-based to show that it effectively works. They're not going to put resource officers there, okay? They're not going to put metal detectors there because there is no evidence proving that that stops school shooters from wanting to walk into a building, even though some of our most highly esteemed buildings in this country are guarded by gates, security, weapons, and some sort of authentication before you can even go in. You have to be authorized. You guys see me going to the military base all the time. If I'm not going, if I don't have my card, they ain't letting me in. I don't get to go past go. And they're not using evidence-based practices from another federal entity to tell them or to push down those things. I don't know what else needs to be said besides they're never going to do anything surrounding school shootings. This entire bill is red flag laws and more federal overreach. That's all it is. This is just a small section of what I read. I read the entire bill. But what the Kev, did you read it? Have you been able to go through it?
So as I was leaving the office today, they were like, "Oh, everybody meeting, we got to go." Like, bill just got released. Time to check it out. It's pretty freaking outrageous. They're like, they do so much extra crap on it. It's clearly a bill designed to do some pretty subversive power grabs. Pretty terrifying stuff going on. Like, I haven't had the chance to read it all the way through in its entirety yet, but yeah, this is a lot worse than we thought we were going to get out of this.
Absolutely. And what's worse is it's bipartisan. There are 10 popular Republicans who signed off on this and co-authored this.
Oh, yeah.
10.
Yep.
10.
Yep.
I will be talking about this on Instagram. I know we've been on here for a minute. Everybody still has a life after these shows. But if you want to tune in to hear more about what I read, as far as what this clearinghouse department is going to be and how they're going to, it's pretty much like the WHO in America when it comes to healthcare. We're going to have a specific entity making decisions and choices for us, and then giving those recommendations to states, and then they can go from there. And it's all evidence-based, which is, I'm going to be nice. I'm not even going to curse. It's BS though.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
Psychology is a bunk study, is a bunk field right now. Until they can start actually replicating, they can stop pea hunting, they can stop doing all the kind of shit that makes your science completely invalid. You're doing evidence-based stuff on ideology, not on actual any kind of scientific method. And this is a terrifying document. We are incredibly upset at the 10 senators that are agreeing to this, and they need to be gotten the fuck rid of.
But you know what? This goes back to what I said last week when we talked about the framework, and everyone was like, no, that's not going to be in there. Republicans would never do that. And I said, you're smoking crack. They need to win elections. Kevin just showed what could be potentially happening with this red wave. If they don't pass this, they don't win. And because Americans aren't smart enough to go read this stuff, and they probably don't even understand the language within it, they're going to think that this is a good bill, and it's good because 10 Republicans that we all trust decided to sign off on it. You're signing your rights away because red flag laws don't stop criminals. They stop law-abiding citizens. Raising the age don't stop criminals. Having a universal background check on juveniles that don't even have a criminal record won't stop them from getting a gun. Hello?
Yeah. The vast majority of mass shootings, like 97%, are committed with illegal firearms. 997 percent of people committing gun crime. 997 out of 1,000 people that commit gun crimes are doing so like illegally.
It's crazy, man.
I don't know how to else to say it.
We have 3,000 gun laws in America. Just want to point that out. 3,000 federally.
Yeah, it's more at the state level.
None of them have stopped school shootings.
That's huge. All right, guys. Excuse me. I got a little froggy in my throat there.
Wow.
I know that there were two topics that we didn't get to today. However, we want to respect your time. We've been on here for 2 hours. But before you go, please make sure to go down below to our description box. Most importantly, I want to call attention to Blunt Force Discussion, which is Anthony's new show. And team on the camera here, when did he say his show is next week on Monday? And who's his next guest? Does anybody remember?
His last one was Bad Panther.
With a V.
Hold on.
Okay, so while he's looking at that, last week
Tony Vans.
Tony Vans. Okay, so
Tony
he's gonna have
Vans.
Tony Vans. I believe Tony Vans is a preacher. He's a preacher. So he's going to be on there. And then last week, or this weekend, he had his interview with Chad Prather, and it was a really, really good interview. It was his first interview. So make sure on Instagram that you subscribe to Blunt Force Discussion. The episodes will be posted here on Be the Change. Okay, so not to be confused. They don't have their own channel. It's all here on Be the Change. But just make sure that you tune in for those. We'll be posting about them on our social medias. And Soonie would love to point out that we need to free Joe Biden. We forgot to ask Seth if he thought Joe falling on the bike was funny. I really wanted to know his opinion. Bree, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you at least were able to make it for a little bit of it. It was really good. You have a lot of great. Yeah, you have a lot of great insight on a lot of things, and we'll have to have you back so that we can have like a full segment with you next time.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Kevin, I don't know what to say about you.
Common offense every morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 1360khnc.com. Remember,
go listen to him speak into oblivion so that we don't have to hear it on Truth to Set You.
But it's all down below. It's all down below. I linked all your radio stuff down below so people can
you're
tune
the greatest.
into you.
No, you're just the greatest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did a little stock. I did a little stockaroo on you. And figured it all out. So you guys can listen to Kevin on the radio. And that's it, guys. As always, if you guys have topics that you want us to talk about, we will do our best to talk about them. But understand, we can only put so much in here. And we always want to talk about the hottest topics that are going on. And obviously topics that we and our guests are educated about. But let us know, drop us a comment either in this video or on our Instagram page at #BeTheChange. And you can also send it to Truth Will Set You Free if you can't help yourself. But that's it. Anybody else have anything to say?
Nope. Hey, if you want to come to the after party and you want to hear more swearing, all you got to do is come to my live.
She takes the tape off to plug her stuff. Okay. All right, guys.
I mean, sometimes honestly, it is refreshing hearing Soonie on these lives because she's much more tamed. Over there, it's like Jerry Springer. She's like, "You mother beep beep," and that mother beep beep. It's pretty funny.
But I think people tune in here to just wait to see if she just pops off here, which she does sometimes, you guys. So yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Later,
You gonna close this out, anybody?
Oh, well, I got it. Let's see.
We're still